Hello and welcome to the Football Pundits. This is it, guys. This is it. The season is already here. That's right. The Premier League 2021 season that just got over, one might feel, is already back. And we're so excited to bring this very special preview in front of all of you today. We're joined by a very special guest and a very dear friend of ours and a very big Manchester United fan, Dave Bhatia himself. Dave, good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for getting me, guys.
So we'll begin today's Premier League season preview with, let's do our due diligence, right? Liverpool are champions, or they're still champions of the Premier League, and they'll be looking to defend, their first ever Premier League of their 100 to 110, 20-year history. So let's get straight into it. And I'm going to come straight to you, Dave. Again, welcome to the Football Pundits. Let's talk about Liverpool and the kind of season that they had last year. Absolutely dominating, destroyed the Premier League, won it by December, as non-Liverpool fans would say. Do you foresee a similar season, or are they up for bigger contention this year?
I think it's going to be slightly tougher than last year for them. I think there are a few more challenges, and teams have strengthened, and hopefully United will strengthen by the end of this transfer window too. I don't see Liverpool winning as dominant as they were unless they sign Thiago or back up to the front three. Minamino, I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. But so if one or two of those guys get injured, like if they have a season like Jose at Spurs with the injuries and stuff, I don't see them sort of dominating as they did. I mean, I think right time, right place, a lot of things fell in place for them. So that was, according to me, what their season was.
Yeah. So I think Dave is sort of leaning towards the whole, one season wonder sort of thing that happened with Liverpool. I'm going to throw you into City straight away, right? Because Pep Guardiola could make this 3 out of 4. Do they look like the strongest team on paper? Because they've also strengthened over this transfer market. They've had fantastic signings compared to Liverpool, who haven't really spent this summer. And Guardiola must be raring to go, wouldn't he?
Yep, and so we covered these in our season preview episodes, right? All the City and the Liverpool one. Now you have to remember one thing: a big reason why City didn't do as well was because of that whole company-sized hole, right? They took it for granted that the defenders they had could fill in the gap, and they didn't. Well, they're going after Koulibaly now; it's almost done, right? So I think that will be the missing piece for Pep in his mind. And I do feel in a season that we're going to have, where we've already lost 1 month, Champions League, none of the cup competitions have been called off, right? City we've joked that they have an A and B side, which can walk over most teams, even the B side, right? For me, City are the best place to win the Premier League this year. Not only that, actually make it all the way to the final make it to the final of the Champions League and easily win one of the cup competitions. Where I see Liverpool, in comparison to that, is, yes, FSG has their own system. The Liverpool fans gave us their take. But it would really be naive, I think, to say that the same form they've shown over 2 years where they won the Champions League and the Premier League is the same Liverpool that's going to come up, right? I feel something's got to give. So I do fear a bit for Liverpool's fans because they are a bit overconfident. They don't drop out of the top 4, but it'll be very tight this year. It's not going to be anything like last season.
One might argue also, Karan, that, we've spoken about the best 2 teams from last year, but clearly, going by the way that United finished last season, going by the way that Chelsea are spending this summer, they seem to have almost overhauled their entire squad and with good recruitment. Do you think Chelsea are also in the reckoning? Because if you were to ask the general Premier League fan, you wouldn't as confidently bet on this being a 2-horse race. You might just say that, hey, you know what? There might just be a 3rd and a 4th horse that might just come into this. Do you agree to that? And what do you think of Frank Lampard and his men in blue?
Yeah, this season isn't. I mean, the last couple of seasons has been City and Liverpool sort of running away, right? Both seasons, and both of them put in extraordinary performances. If you compare the performances to even of champions in the previous seasons, they were far ahead of them. I don't see that continuing this season just because of fixtures, and we've obviously spoken about those in all of our previews at some point in time. I think because of that congestion, I think it's a lower points total will see the championship going to a team this season. which makes it a 3-horse race, 4-horse race. And Chelsea now, even till the time we shot our season preview, when they had just sort of strengthened up in front and only got Chilwell and Silva in the center, but now that it's apparently they're getting their keeper Mendy and they're probably getting Declan Rice as well. Now, you know what, starting to get a little scared, because up until then I was like, you know what, they're a top heavy side, but even last season they never had a problem with scoring. They were having problems at the other end. Keeper making mistakes, they couldn't break down play on the counter when they were being attacked on the counter. But now if they get a keeper in and they sort that out, they get Declan Rice in to sort that out, I am suddenly scared of Chelsea, honestly.
With good reason. The other good interesting update for fans of the Premier League is that there is a small chance that they might open up stadiums. In fact, there was talk that there might be 12,000 fans, or maybe not United's opening fixture, but maybe in the subsequent fixtures to follow. So obviously the world recovering slowly but steadily from the effects of this devastating virus. I did mention Manchester United, and I'm going to bring them in, although one would reckon that Arsenal deserve to come in at number 4. But speaking strictly of Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I know you're a fan, and they finished so bloody strong last season, man. From where they were in December to where they finished in what would have been May, but actually was August. Phenomenal turnaround. The question is, was it a one-off? Is this a sustained effort that's going to continue? Is Ole seriously looking at a title challenge? Where do you put your expectations, and where do you think United are going to finish this season?
My expectations have been battered over the last few years, so I always keep them low. I kept saying last year until Bruno came that we're going to finish 8th. Even when he came and when we went on that initial run, I was like, we're going to finish 8th. And as soon as we finished 4th, I celebrated like we won the Champions League, right? So this year, I feel Ole will say to the press that he's in for a title challenge, but heart of hearts, I have a feeling hopefully he'll be given the support. I mean, we got Van de Beek, but I hope that defender and the Sancho comes, and that should show a serious intent from the board, and hopefully we can sort of slip through. But I have a feeling we can surely finish 3rd. Top 2, I'm not so sure, but like we discussed pre-show, right? Like I hope they slip through because of the top 2 make mistakes, the proposed top 2.
Sure. In fact, Kurt, I'm going to jump to you. You know, if you were to look at the sort of way that the betting patterns are going, that we pretty much covered the top 4 or the 4 clubs that are most likely to finish in the top 4. Now, you know, there is something called the pretenders, and at one time in the Premier League, it was, you know, the top 4 and the rest of the league. Now it's the rise of the pretenders. You have the likes of Tottenham Hotspur under Jose Mourinho. You've got Everton with Carlo Ancelotti, right, who's a huge manager in his own right. You've got Arsenal, who are looking a little different under this new manager, Mikel Arteta. So, what do you make of these 3 teams going into a top 4 challenge, and how do you sort of set them into your Premier League sort of foresight?
For me, Tottenham is the best of the rest. If we're calling them the rest, Tottenham lead that pack for me because of Jose Mourinho, nothing else. You know, if this was his 3rd season. Jose. But if you're talking about this in his 3rd season, this would be a very different video. But this is his first full season in charge of Spurs. He seems to have got the players excited and sort of command. At least that's what All or Nothing will have you believe. He's also got a couple of solid signings. Not the big Jose signings, but some solid signings in Højbjerg, Doherty. The likes. I think. And also, if you just see his form, since he took over, Spurs have finished 4th in the league. If you just see those months, with the 4th best goal difference as well. So it's not just that he's somehow managing things here and there. The downfall of Spurs was them leaking goals. I'm pretty sure he's going to fix.
And Harry Kane's injury to some extent.
I was about to say, I don't think it was the leaking goals as much as the fact that you lost Kane. Then when Kane comes back, you lose Son and Lamela twice, and Mora went out in the middle. I think you can't expect anyone to recover from that, right?
Yeah. No, but I'm just
going to say, what I do fear for Spurs is their fixture list. I think, obviously, he has to say otherwise, but I think if given the choice, he might have just been having this sneaky feeling. You'd have been like, you know what, I don't want this Europa nonsense. Give me just the Premier League, and I'll just fight for that top 4. Obviously, having the Europa now gives him a second route into the Champions League, like he did with United.
Yeah.
But these Europa qualifying rounds, playing Thursday, Sunday continuously, I think that might be the downfall for Spurs, because they still don't have as much squad depth in their like the centre forward. After Harry Kane, there's no one, and then centre backs still it's only Alderweireld and Eric Dyer. Yes, they have a couple of backups, but not good enough is what I feel.
It's almost as if, I'm sure all of us are watching All or Nothing, and you can almost tell that when Harry Kane went out, they've changed their entire system. They've played Steven Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, and Son up front. These are not out-and-out centre-forward strikers. These are not players who like to play inside the box. Bergwijn, for all you know, you Wikipedia him, it shows up as winger. You go to the Premier League app, it says striker. So you can tell how desperate Tottenham are for that number 9. And enough said about Tottenham, because what I'm also excited about this season is the North London derby battle, not the actual fixture in itself, but it's almost like Tottenham and Arsenal are gunning for the same sort of glory this season, right? And let's talk a little bit about Arsenal. We did the Arsenal preview recently, and our Arsenal fans who were gracious enough to come on the show thought that Arsenal are definitely in for a title challenge this year. What do you make of that?
I think our Arsenal fans that we had on, and the United episode that we did, there was too much of optimism, I feel, in terms of top 4 prediction and title challenges. But I can only say one thing about Arsenal, which is giving credit, I think, mainly to Arteta. I think if you are to look at the fact that if you had managers like it was Arteta, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Frank Lampard, Arteta still has more pull with his name than Ole does or Lampard does, right? The reason why these players have come to Chelsea are not because of Frank Lampard, it's because of the wages they've been paid and the money that's been given. Let's be realistic about that. Arteta has been very fluid in terms of how quickly he's changed the way Arsenal have played. He's done it in under 6 months, which is credit to him in a COVID break lockdown where players weren't training, right? So kudos to him there. They made quick signings, unlike any Arsenal season we've seen. Yes, there was negatives in terms of letting players, letting the staff go, etc., whatever, that is unfortunate, but I don't want to get too much into that. But I'll stop it right there, right? Because that's the side you see is still not a side on paper you see competing for the title. 100% not. Are they top 4 challengers better this year than they were last season? Yes, 100%. If they keep hold of Lacazette and Aubameyang, 100%. But Spurs and Arsenal, who would finish top 4 guaranteed as of today?
Yeah.
Spurs.
Yeah.
For sure.
Interesting. And that's what makes this particular season so damn interesting, because, we've gone into the last 3 or 4 seasons as fans of, be it a United or a Spurs or an Arsenal. We've always been very realistic. No, we're not going to win the title. We're not going to be gunning for it. Top 4 would be great. Champions League. We need Champions League football. I think right now a United fan, an Arsenal fan, a Tottenham Hotspur fan, because of the Jose Mourinho effect, we're all sitting there thinking, what could this be? One of those bizarre Premier League years. And I'll just quickly touch upon Everton under Ancelotti, guys. World-class manager. He's won at the highest level. And he's signing, once upon a time, world-class players. James Rodriguez, we'll come to him later. Doucouré from Watford, if I'm not mistaken. And, of course, Alan from Napoli, who's a fantastic striker. I'm going to come back to Dave. And Dave, as the color of your hair would suggest, Leeds United must mean something special to you, right? Because I remember watching Leeds United when I first started watching football. Mark Viduka, Alan Smith, Rio Ferdinand, Harry Kewell and the likes. They're back in the Premier League, dude. What do you make of Marco Bielsa and his men?
I mean, being a United fan, we're supposed to have this Leeds rivalry, but I sort of heart of hearts feel good. Like I felt good for them when they came back to the Premier League. Yeah. I've been watching their documentaries and I like the new owner as well, that he went out and got Bielsa and, he had a vision. And Bielsa, dude, he is a unique manager, right? Like he's incredible. And that Rodrigo signing, so that came out of the blue. And Calvin Phillips just got an England cap, so things start to happen for them. I feel like they'll be mid-table, they'll do well simply because of Bielsa and his, genius. And I think the Premier League needs Leeds. I think so, and it's going to be an interesting season for them. Talking about the old Leeds, you're talking about, that was exciting, right? Champions League semi-final, and dude, Alan Smith, when he signed for United, I was so happy that we got Alan Smith from Leeds.
7 million, I loved it. Yeah.
And I'll not forget, there was this one goal Alan Smith scored. I won't get into it because I'll take ours.
AS Roma, Champions League.
No, it was a Premier League goal. I forget against who, but all I remember is fans weren't taking up to Alan Smith, the United fans. And then he scored this brilliant goal and runs to the fans. And then suddenly you see the front row fans like hugging him, and I have that wallpaper saved.
Oh, sick.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Leeds, dude. Like Premier League needs Leeds, and can't wait to see them play. Can't wait to see a Leeds United game.
I have good news for you, Dave. I have good news for you. You've obviously been obsessed with All or Nothing Spurs. You've started watching All or Nothing City. There's an All or Nothing Leeds United as well. It's Take Me Home Leeds on Amazon. You should check that out.
I watched it.
Okay, super.
Dude, for me, my Alan Smith memory was that he busted his head open and he just got stitches on the side and he came back on. For me, that was like, dude, that's a player, man. Like,
that's a United player, right? Yeah. Speaking of Leeds and where they were all these years, relegated, financial struggle, and they've done well to come up. Kurt, we've covered top four, we've covered pretenders. This is the season preview, and unfortunately, like any league, there is going to be relegation, right? So we'll not go too deep into relegation because I don't think there are too many West Brom fans intent. But I would reckon Villa, Fulham, West Brom. Maybe I'm going to be very, very audacious when I say this, but maybe even Leeds might struggle in this Premier League this season. Maybe. Who do you see as relegation contenders, and who do you think are going to get relegated?
So I don't see Leeds as relegation contenders per se, but I completely get what you mean that they will struggle because the kind of football that Bielsa plays is very similar to what Pep does with City, right? Possession-based game, break the opponent down, tire them out. What will happen though is with the kind of players he has and the kind of opponents he'll face, he's not going to be able to keep the ball that much. Because players are going to have to adapt to a different style of play, not having the ball that much. So, it's not going to be as easy as, he's a great manager, he can just make these players play the same way that City does because it's the same style. I think Leeds will sort of suffer from that a little. Relegation, honestly, man, I think Fulham are right back in it to go back down for me. As are West Brom, I don't see much from either of them. Villa got saved by the skin of their teeth. I mean, I think I'm still wondering how did they manage that? So I think those three are the ones.
They're still celebrating.
Yeah, it was such a weird one, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm just glad that I'm not taking names like Sheffield United because, I mean, I was moving to Sheffield last year, right? And before I was going, I was reading what Pandit...
I'm going to ask you that question. I'm going to ask you that question, actually. Who do you think is going to pull a Sheffield United this season? Leeds? Maybe not.
If anyone, it'll be Leeds. I mean, if it's one of the three promoted teams...
None of them.
I'm saying if anyone, they are the most likely of the three. But for me, I'm saying like when I was reading the... previews or whatever of the predictions for who's going to get relegated. Sheffield were 20th for every single pundit, but they went and improved every single like Sheffield actually 20th for every single pundit on the Guardian, the BBC, everywhere. And then look at the season they had. So obviously, relegation is not something that we can even. I mean, who can top four are much easier to predict than relegation for sure.
Yeah, and that's what the injection of money does to a league, right? It makes everyone competitive and. I remember once upon a time the championship playoff final was billed as the biggest game in the world because the winner would get £100 million just to come to the Premier League. So that's very well said. Annie, so this is again promising to be a very, very big season for all the clubs that we've spoken about, but it's also a season of some really big names and some really big signings that are going to make their way into the Premier League. I'll just name a few. I'm personally very excited about Kai Havertz. I'm personally very excited about James Rodriguez. This is his third mention on this chat today. Who, according to you, are the new players to watch out for?
Honestly, you got a few of them, but the player I really want to see, number one, is Havertz. Yeah. I'm going to talk about the players who are confirmed at 100 million euros and not rumored to be coming for 100 million euros. So let's keep it to the players who've come here. Havertz, for sure, the way I see him playing for Germany, the way I saw him for Leverkusen, right? He really is a kind of future Thomas Müller for me. Second player is definitely James Rodriguez. I really wish for that guy to actually do well in football. And I really want to see him play. And where better than to prove yourself than in the Premier League, right? And a third player I'm actually quite excited to see in the Premier League. And not a lot of people might agree or I don't know. I don't know if agree is the right word or not. It's actually Thiago Silva. I think maybe he might prove people wrong and might be what Chelsea need in the back to marshal them since Terry's been gone and they're missing that.
But do you see him getting a lot of games? Do you think he's going to start in that centre-back position?
For me, the reason why Thiago Silva for me is just to basically help them in the Champions League to get that solidity and that maturity in the Champions League to give them that push with a young squad up ahead. I do see him playing a good 70% of the season though. Yeah.
Interesting names. Dave, do you agree, disagree? Any new names that you can think of?
I completely agree with Annie's list, though. He's covered a lot, and including you. But one thing I really hope for, it's not what I want. It's not a new player, but I wish we have Pogba for a full season without any injuries. Without any drama, just a full 50, 60 game season with us. I have a feeling we'll then really see the 89 million pound player. I'm excited about Bruno's first full season, though the preseason is pretty screwed up. So
yeah.
But I'm still excited to have him for the whole season.
Then I'm going to stop you there, and I'm going to bring you back to that Pogba point, because I think there is value in discussing that, right? Is this the first season that Paul Pogba is going into where he is not the big man in the team? The hopes of the team don't rest on his shoulders, and he actually has a pretty clean slate now from the fans as well, right?
Totally, and he's got the best conditions now, right? He's got his midfield backup players. He's got good players around him, the players he wanted, and the players Mino Raiola spoke about, right? He needs to have a team around him, etc., etc. And then you've got the front three firing, and hopefully the 100 million rumored player will join as well.
He who cannot be named.
And Fabio Silva at Wolves, interesting. Football manager legend. So him, we didn't speak about Wolves, which is really funny because they are chipping at the block. They're doing really well.
It's just coming to them. Yep.
Yeah, Wolves, Leicester City, guys, Leicester City. So yeah, incredible season. Looking forward to it. Yeah.
I'm not sure about Leicester actually this season.
I was actually happy. I was about to say one of the teams to look out for actually is Leicester, not to go up, but maybe to go down a little bit.
Sort of level out, yeah.
Because look, they do rely on Jamie Vardy a lot, and Jamie Vardy is fit. He has no issue coming into the season. But we saw Jose Perez teetering away towards the end. Maddison not getting those assists, not getting those goals. Tielemans hot and cold again. They've not really made a defensive back, like a signing in terms of centre back, right? Evans is going to not be in the first couple of games. I don't know. I see them being maybe Everton overtaking the Leicester, and Leicester being like 7th or 8th this year.
Yeah, could easily be so, man. And Karan, I'm going to come to the current lot of Premier League players who played last season as well and who've been here for some time. Kevin De Bruyne has just won, obviously, PFA Player of the Year. Absolutely deserved. What a midfielder. What a player. I keep telling people, I wish that was one ginger we got at Man United, but we didn't, right? Karan, who, according to you, are the players to watch out for from the current crop?
And I say Kevin De Bruyne again, because he is by far in the Premier League the best player to watch. I mean, Bruno's getting that obviously for me as a United fan, but just in what we've seen all these years, yes, Salah's great, yes, all these guys are great, but Kevin De Bruyne is a different gravy, man. I think for me, if Ballon d'Or did happen last year, it would have been between Lewandowski and him. That's how highly I rate him right now. Wow. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Kevin De Bruyne again. It pains me that he's in the other half of Manchester, and it's just like, I would have been able to appreciate him so much more if he wasn't a Man City player. But Kevin De Bruyne, and obviously closer to home, as Dave said, full season of Bruno Fernandes. And I'm also very excited to see Van de Beek, because he's going to be pushing two of United's biggest names in Bruno and Pogba. So for him to step it up, I think it's going to be big. And one last United name that I think can finally deliver to his potential is Anthony Martial. He has now actually shown over the last few weeks that he can perhaps give us what we've been wanting. And if this form continues, then he can have a lethal season.
I'm going to give an outside mention to Willian, moving from Chelsea to Arsenal.
I was just going to do that as well. I'm so happy you brought his name up. And pressure is on him, man. Pressure is on him. 200K a week, big, high-profile move to Arsenal. It's all on him.
Some could wonder it could go David Luiz way for Arsenal. Again, what happened with him? They thought they're getting an experienced centre back, but it trailed off. But guess what? Arteta got him back. And I think a manager like Arteta and a player like Willian, the respect, the seniority, just the way that he handles himself, I think it could turn out to be a match made in heaven, provided he stays fit though. He does have a few niggles always, with his calf and stuff. But yeah, I think it's something we should maybe look out for.
Two players that have very secretly flown under the radar. One very evidently so, one not so evidently so. Might be a strange one, but I think it's a big season for Liverpool's other centre-back. Joe Gomez as well. Because, Van Dijk does most of that work. And this is, like Kern says, it's going to be a tiring season. Players are going to be worn out. Liverpool have not strengthened as much as their rivals have. They're Premier League champions. They're defending their title. It's going to be a very, very difficult season for them. And it could be the season where Joe Gomez steps up. Klopp could make a point to say that this is why I haven't replaced him. The second guy is Ferran Torres. Sergio Aguero, we covered this in one of our shows. Sergio Aguero is a phenomenal striker, but he's sort of now coming to a decline.
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus is not a 30-goal-a-season striker. I don't think he's shown enough to sort of prove that.
No.
Who then steps up? You've got Sterling, you've got KDB, you've got Gundogan. Ferran Torres, it will be someone that I'll be very, very closely watching because I've heard he's a very exciting player. Yes, Annie?
I was in fact going to say Sterling is the player to watch this season for City over Aguero. I think Sterling, the way you saw him finishing last season, is the player Pep keeps telling the press about all these years that he keeps saying Sterling has it. He doesn't have that finishing, when you see him on the field, which is what happened against Lyon when he had that terrible miss. But the Sterling we saw towards the end is the Sterling who shows up, would terrorize the league.
I think for me, one of the other Liverpool players who I want, who will have some pressure, as you said, Gomez, I think Naby Keita. We, as rivals, have loved
Slated
attacking
him.
him and slating him properly. But all the Liverpool fans, including in our preview, have said that this season is going to be a revelation and stuff like that. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that as well. If for nothing else, then for the banter.
I kind of lean towards Shriram, though. When I know Shriram is the one who mentioned about Keita, I do have a feeling that Keita might actually have a decent season for them. So,
Which is why I'm curious to see exactly why I'm saying one of the players to watch out for. It'll be interesting to see how he performs this season.
But for the banter and for Arsenal fans, I really want to see what their 75 million player does, Nicolas Pepe. I'm waiting. For banter, you can't. I mean, our show, we can't talk banter and not talk Arsenal. For
it's
some
actually
reason.
an interesting
it has
debate.
to-
Nicolas.
And three of us didn't say it, someone else did for the first time.
My
Nicolas
only
Pepe,
question to the Arsenal-
Havertz, Nicolas Pepe, Havertz, and a possible rumored 100 million signing. Interesting to see what could happen.
My only question to the Arsenal board, yes, Annie, he who cannot be named, I like that. But my only question to the Arsenal board is, I'm sure you guys are aware, Raul Sanelli, their director of football of sorts, was sacked, financial mismanagement, apparently extremely inflated on Nicolas Pepe. My question is, inflated transfer fee or inflated hype? What was it? was it just that, because, I liken him a lot to Anthony Martial. He's got the capability, he's got the quality, but, remains to be seen if he does much. We're going to come to our final segment, which could be our most fun segment. It is the predictions, right, gents? So if you all are ready, I'm going to come to you all in the order of Dev, Animesh, and Karan. What's going to happen is I'm going to give you the title. I just want to hear what your answers are for that. Okay, what the prediction is. All right, gents. So if we're ready, Dev, champions of the Premier League 2021 season.
Manchester City.
Animesh.
Man City.
That's 4-0, guys. That's 4 of us voting for Man City. All right. Next one, guys. Who's going to finish in the top 4? So who, according to you, is 2, 3, and 4 in that order?
Liverpool, United, Chelsea.
Animesh.
So tough. So, Spurs, Liverpool, United.
Ooh. The closeted Spurs fan coming out. All right, Kurt.
United, Chelsea, Liverpool in that order.
Ooh. Kurt, I'm going to match you exactly. I'm also going for, and I know we're getting a lot of abuses right now on the chat. Everywhere, whoever's watching is going to abuse the shit out of us. Going to call us biased, but it's just there, right? United, Chelsea, Liverpool. All right. Coming to the last one, guys. Golden Boot. Mr. Bhatia.
Anthony Martial.
It's a tie. Harry Kane and Sterling.
Can't be any if there's no Spurs in it. No, for me it's Timo Werner.
Ooh, interesting pick. Timo Werner, who obviously makes his debut for Chelsea this season in the Premier League. Right, it's a wrap, guys. I'm going to go for Harry Kane as well for the Golden Boot this season.
I mean, I'm just going to say that it's been the full episode. Premier League preview, this, that. Yes, we said Liverpool are different. None of us have mentioned Salah at any point and Mane at any point. I just want to say, yes, Liverpool fans, we do rate them. It's just that we want to see other players perform as well now. Like, that's it. We got bored of watching them kill it. It's just about watching the others. We're not saying they're bad and all of this before you guys attack us.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, see, Werner could end up setting the Premier League on fire with Havertz behind him. If Kane shows non-injury, which he's at 18 months, Kane was the easy winner, right? Always in the Premier League. He's been there. So when Kane is fit and I see Salah, Mane, I just about pip Kane's team. I don't know.
Clearly, our pundits have not had enough, and there's so much more to be spoken about. Promises to obviously be an interesting season, guys. Dave, thank you so much for coming on today. Dave, we hope to see you. By the way, for everyone watching, we are, as the Football Pundits, going to be doing a series of Instagram lives from our Instagram account. Of course, do follow us at Football Pundits. This is before every single game, just before kickoff on Saturday and Sunday. And we might just do a series of lives after the game as well to dissect and understand what's really happened. Thank you guys for watching this YouTube premiere of the Football Pundits. We hope you enjoyed our season preview of the Premier League 2020-2021 season. On behalf of the Football Pundits, that's Karan, Animesh, and guest funded Dave Bhatia. We're signing off, and we hope this is going to be a kick-ass season.
Yes, guys.
Come on, you Reds. Come on.